And we are live. Well, welcome everyone for this first meeting of 2022. I do wish you all a happy new year. I hope that this new year will get us onto new projects, exciting projects. For the sake of the recording, I'm going to share again the agenda. And let us start right away with the administrative tasks. So first of all, we have the minutes for the last meeting, December meeting, that are up on GitHub. Any review would be much appreciated. And if nothing comes up, this is going to be merged very quickly. Right, next on the agenda, some more administrative tasks. We have a few membership requests. And that's great, because during the last meeting, I did make a call for you guys to apply as a formal member of this working group. And fortunately, none of you did apply for an approver position. And that's what I'm actually looking for, another approver. So as per the current rule, only approvers can vote for new members and new projects for the working group. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to accept Michael request to downgrade his membership. That's one less approver to ask to vote. And then I'm basically going to accept all of the other membership requests. So Ruffin, Victor, Florencia. And as for now, I'm still going to be the only approver. That's unfortunate, but I do hope that some of you will find the will to join me in this difficult position. Anyhow, does anyone have anything to say about those membership requests? So
you can add me as an approver if you like.
Oh, I would like that very much, Ruffin. If you don't mind.
I think I skimmed the governance, and it's like, okay, it's reviewer or nothing. But I forgot that there was an approver.
Yeah, if you could update your request just to ask for approver, and then it's going to be you and me. And with this new approver board, we will be able to to make decisions about the request for adding the SCAPI project under the working group umbrella. But before coming to that, there's also an open pull request for updating the template for proposing projects to the working group. I think we are done on reviewing it. So unless anyone has any last word, I'm going to merge that as well. And Victor, if you don't mind updating your request for the SCAPI project following this new template. Great. So about your request, what I propose that we take this month so that all of us can review it, understand the full extent of it, and then we'll discuss it during the next working group meeting. And upon this discussion, the approvers will take a decision as to whether or not support it in the working group.
So one quick comment regarding regarding the new instruction. So I did review Florencia's pull request. I'm fully okay with it. The requirements specified may make sense for, I guess, most of the projects, and those are already set and were set in the past. I'm just saying this, so SCAPI in particular has no issues whatsoever with meeting these requirements, but in the future we may have like some contributions that may not actually fit right away with this one. So do we have any mechanism to in a way bypass this if appropriate, or we will just do things based on a case basis? I'm asking this because in the past we raised some contributions that I think weren't even evaluated upon these requirements. So I'm just wondering, how are we going to proceed with this? But anyhow, maybe let me take a step back on this and just let's play by the year, I guess, because yeah, those were past requirements. Now we have or past attempts. Now we have new ones. So yeah, I'll update it. Nevertheless, I'll update it according to this, and I'll ping the group back. Okay.
Right, please do. So just for a bit of context, the requirements we are talking are technical requirements, such as that the proposed project has linters enabled, that it runs call contest successfully, and that it has a test coverage greater than 50%. I think that those technical requirements are fairly common in the ROS project, and if for any reason a proposed project or an update would not meet those requirements, we would discuss that on a case by case.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I mean,
but again,
go ahead.
I think they are fairly simple to meet.
Just to add, the changes that I proposed to the template only have to do with the extent of what the support of the security working group is expected, just to have more clarity up front on also the project state, the time that it is being proposed to the group, etc. Just supposed to build on the description section a little bit more detail.
Yep.
That.
No, it's totally okay. Yeah, I mean, I think so. Jeremy just hit the point I was wondering, which is things like call contest. Call contest is not something that's gonna work right away with SCAPI and SCAPI extensions, because SCAPI is an external project which is not ROS integrated, but it's a tool that's gonna be helpful for assessing ROS2 package security. So and overall computational graph security. So things like those, I guess, need to be discussed on a case by case basis, as you said. Yeah, that's I guess what I was looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if it's a native Python module, Kotlin should be able to pick up on whatever test scaffolding is available for that language.
Yeah, I guess the main point of this requirement is that there is some unit testing for the project, that it is maintainable somewhat. All right, next and last administrative topic, to explicit the rules for downgrading a member. So I did not put that in text, but I did put some thought in it. I've also been looking for common practices in open source projects, and I couldn't really find one. Seems to be on a, again, case-by-case basis. What I would propose, and I will open a pull request so that we can all discuss it again. I would simply propose that we look at formally downgrading approvers, because that's the really blocking membership position. So any approver that does not show any activity for 3 months will be notified formally on GitHub through an issue. that is facing a downgrading, and if there are no answer by 1 more month, then it will be that person will be automatically downgraded to the lowest membership member. I don't see any reason at the moment to literally erase someone from the membership, but maybe there is a case for it. Although again, member is the lowest level, and that does not imply any voting weight as for the new memberships and whatnot. And of course, another mechanism would be just as Michael did, that is, if a member requests himself his own downgrading, and this will be somewhat automatic. There's no reason to vote if someone knows that he doesn't have the time to be active in this working group and request for a downgrading. So this will be automatic from now on. What are your thoughts? Does the time frame seems legit? I think 3 months is it may seem large, but that also account for, I don't know, extended vacations or whatnot. And it is a fixed deadline.
ROS maintainers usually work on a pretty long timeline, but I guess 4 months is enough to get back to someone and affirm whether they're going to be involved or not.
Alrighty then, I'll formalize that in a PR and link it again in the Matrix chat. Well, last topic for today, at least on the agenda. I'd like to reopen the discussion around a reference implementation. This could be a nice project for us this year, and this would open, I think, a lot of sideways.
I've started
benefits.
on
Yep.
the well, we already have the navigation 2 sort of demo for the security working group that I linked to earlier. I started before holiday break on a replication for Move It tutorials. It's like you could do the Move It tutorials enabling security. That I had a lot of nuances and the graph interface is a lot more messy or non-explicit for Move It than it is for the navigation stack. So I wasn't able to get it completely working using a minimal access control policy. Of course, you can disable access control and just use, over the wire encryption, but I was trying to go the full gamut, and I don't think our tooling is there yet. Specifically, like the discovery, like it's not picking up on actions or some parameter topics. So definitely a barrier there. I'd encourage people to check out the repo and see how far you guys can get yourself, just to kind of get a real feel of the current limitations of the tooling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's under the SWG GitHub org that we had the 2000.
Could you post the link here so that it's recorded?
Yeah, let me go grab it.
You
guys go ahead.
Right, before entering the the technical details. I'd like to have a more general discussion about what are our objectives with this project, and what the implementation could look like. And let me just throw a couple ideas in the air. So what I've been thinking about is first to pick a given platform, a given robot, and what a better platform than the upcoming Turtlebot 4. That's going to be the new default robot in ROS2, as it targets specifically ROS2. There will be hype around the release of this new platform, of course, and hopefully we can leverage some of the work that was already done for the Turtlebot 3. This will be very compelling because we can showcase the security features both in simulation and on an actual platform. The platform is, well, it's not cheap, but it's fairly inexpensive. And this will be a great tool to raise awareness around security. So what can we expect in locking down this platform? First, to lock down a lot of the ROS core command nodes. We could also, of course, include navigation to have something a bit more compelling. And this will force us to improve wherever possible the usability of SROS2, but also the documentation through easily reproducible tutorials and Docker images and whatnot. One last thing to add, and then I'll leave you the floor. There's ROSCON at the end of the year. It would be super cool if we set this as our deadline for this project. Not only could we showcase the Turtlebot 4 with security enabled, but we could even imagine organizing, if we have time, organizing a small hackathon, capture the flag-like event during ROSCON. So basically plug your Turtlebot 4 to the wider internet and ask for people to try and hack it or whatnot. I'm confident that we could find some partners and sponsors for such kind of events, and this would be a great showcase. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's a good idea overall. Like the plan is interesting marketing wise. However, I think the feasibility of going for such a new platform is I think risky. Like in the past, we worked in past workshops we gave in past ROSCONs about security around the Turtlebot 3, which is kind of like rock solid in terms of both simulation and hardware. And I think like most of the people or groups have a Turtlebot 3 around. And if not, I'm sure everyone can help just sending one. But I'm just afraid that when is the hardware supposed to arrive to people? Jeremy, is it in May or like summer? And there's still uncertainty because of the silicon issues.
Shortage, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm a bit that's my only concern, but I think it's nice. On the other hand, as far as I know, I think the deal is that iRobot is shipping it with an area for either using a Raspberry Pi or different SBCs, single board computers. So maybe we could work on top of something else and then hook it if hardware arrives.
No, that's right. That's a very legit concern. We could always fall back to the Turtlebot 3 because, as you mentioned, it is already fairly spread around the world. But my guess was that there wouldn't be a lot of differences between those two platforms. At least they should use the same core ROS nodes and navigation, then maybe the differentiator would be the controllers or these kind of things.
I mean, the core ROS2 packages for the robot itself should be significantly different, right? Because one is for the drivers that correspond with the boards from Robotis, the Korean company behind the Tarot 3, whereas the new ROS drivers would need to be produced by iRobot, I guess, or maybe embed as part of the hardware. I don't really know. I mean, I think as part of the marketing they did, they said that it was going to publish ROS2 topics directly. So maybe even the drivers aren't like open source. I don't know. I haven't looked at it, but I'm guessing that the core drivers will differ. But you're right about the fact that navigation is navigation, and that should remain as is. But I guess if we were to make like a CTF, the attack vectors should consider like the whole spectrum, including of course the drivers of the robot.
I'm thinking for the we should play around with considering what kind of capture flag scenarios we could play with. One is I'm thinking like you have the classic robot running ROS over clear text, but behind some kind of NAT, and so then you kind of get people used to the idea of like, well, if you're able to punch a hole through the NAT to like some other embedded device, that's a relay for you to affect the computation graph. And the one I was thinking is kind of a little more playful in that we kind of ratchet the difficulty, where the goal is like to disable the robot via some of the clear text topics in ROS, and then as they show that they demonstrate that, hey, we've disabled it with this topic, and then we then introduce SROS and secure that particular topic, and then it goes the next bit up. And so people really have to explore in what ways they can break the computation graph with the remaining ROS topics as they rule them out. So kind of exotic ways that you can maybe break the nav space, either through parameters or through some kind of meta topic that was remaining. I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting.
So before the pandemic, we were working on a capture the flag scenario with the Boulder University, and all of this has been put on a halt because of the pandemic, of course. What we had envisioned was that you would have a private network on which the robot is connected. It is fully secured with SROS2, and basically you have X amount of time to try and hack it. The robot would perform a repetitive task, and your goal is to stop that task or stop the robot in any way possible. And as time passes, you would somewhat decrease the difficulty so that it's still amusing.
Oh, so it's like a DARPA competition, where they just kind of increase the network capacity as the time progressed, so that there would be at least some chance of completion.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty awesome. That's super. So if you guys can share that so that we can have a look, that would be cool. I mean, one like on CTFs, I also did like past work like a few years ago. We launched this robotic CTF, RCTF. I can try and find it. It's disclosed in Ilias's GitHub repo. Here's the link. And there is, if you search around in the repositories, you'll find like different scenarios. So we didn't really like broke our minds. What we did is essentially something based on Docker. So each scenario or each stage is a Docker container, and the way to solve it is essentially to crack it. It's robotic centric, and it also allows you to like run it either in the cloud, and we had like some infrastructure to deploy different containers, or you can run it locally just with your usual tools. This is something that worked in the past. We didn't maintain it further because of the resources it took, and because there wasn't really so many people like willing to hack robots in the past. Maybe things change right now, but the odds are that like really we need to do lots of work to raise awareness, I think, still. But if you guys have something around these lines, we can give it a try and maybe grouply try to disseminate it. But yeah, just sharing. My past experience was that contributions were very limited. Not because pen testers don't really like robots, they do, just because I guess unfamiliarity with ROS and yeah.
Yeah, so of course there is a lot of work ahead of time. Well, first to have an actual platform locked down, a reference implementation locked down with security, and then design the wall, capture the flag, and publicize it, make noise about it. And there would be a need also to have it on simulation so that we can ship it publicly for people to train or at least get familiar with ROS for pen testers that are not familiar with ROS. And yeah, then organize some actual real world competition. So if we set apart the amount of work and all the uncertainty, how does that sound? Does that sound feasible? Does that sound interesting, motivating?
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty fun. The one bit is after doing the security workshop at ROSCon, I would ask if there was other venues that we'd also mind. Like, there's a very small subset of ROS users at ROSCon, even though like SROS is all about ROS. There's not so many security mindset people attending ROSCon. I mean, there's a lot of industrial engineers and maybe some academics. They're doing stuff about MoveIt navigation, but I think that's a good educational. If we want to have that either the hackathon or like a capture the flag event, that might be a good. We might want to go to like a pure security conference instead.
Absolutely.
Idea.
Absolutely, and that's my idea as well. If we can pull it off and have a nice capture the flag in a suitcase kind of setup, then we could take it to other venues and security-oriented venues. That all right. See you later, Victor. So yes, definitely, Rafin. Again, we need to set this up and showcasing it at ROSCon first, or ROS World. We'll see how things goes. Well, it makes sense because that's ROS, right? But then, yeah, nothing prevents us from widening the audience. Any other remark on this topic?
I would say that I agree with Rafin, like, and probably the ROS, like if we do it at ROSCon, do we expect people to actually work on it during the conference? So we should think about like the profile of ROS developers attending a conference, and then are they going to stop to care about some security stuff? Maybe another option is to I don't know how capture the flag for robotics would look like, but some of them I know they're just online. So maybe another option is to keep it online for a few weeks, months before ROSCon, and then have everyone participating and then show the results on ROSCon itself, or even have it also available at ROSCon. But by having it online, we also have a broader audience, like the pen testers from the security side of things to try it out.
Absolutely, and that's what I was mentioning earlier. If we can have it in simulation as well, with simple Docker images to ship, then we can ship it publicly ahead of time and have people train on this simulation, on those images, and then the actual competition would be held during ROSCon. And of course, the profile of the typical ROSCON attendee is not pen testing or security expert. So this competition, I believe, should be somehow hosted on internet. So someone should be able to participate remotely. And I mean, it definitely makes sense in this uncertain time. So yes, the competition should be hosted online as well. But those are technical details, if I may say so. And I do have a couple ideas of how to do that, but I don't want to say anything yet because I need to discuss with people first. See if we can get some partners and sponsors on board. But yeah, if we can agree on a platform, a typical scenario, and then we'll have to draft rules for the CTF. Then it's gonna be much easier for me to knock on doors and ask companies to participate in this showcase.
So I think just to throw an idea out there, from Open Robotics, we're working on this multi-platform framework called RMF, and we're very interested in security. So maybe this is an opportunity to have. I think it would be very interesting if you can do. You can have a look. Let me find, just for the guys who haven't seen it. We have a bunch of scenarios already with a bunch of robots. So I think it's very interesting if we could do the, and maybe we can even have some resources from the Open Robotics site. So we have scenarios with like different, like hotels full of robots and airports and whatnot. So I think that would be sort of fun if you could play around with those scenarios and have people like hack the robots in an airport, or you can have different levels like the airport, or you can have another level that is the hospital or whatever. Yeah, I think just as an option.
Yeah, it is a good option to consider. My only concern with that is adding another layer of software, another layer of difficulties, open RMF. Difficulties in the sense of securing it, implementing the security for it. I don't know what's going to be this working group. I don't know what's going to be this working group forces during this year. But if we are securing a given platform with navigation, with maybe another couple small things, maybe adding RMF on top of it's going to be complicated. But why not? That's definitely an option to consider. And I know you guys have been working on security with RMF, so I imagine you have already a lot done. So we wouldn't be starting from scratch. All right, any other comment, idea, remark? So if we kind of agree on the overall idea, what should be the next step? Probably look into which platform to pick. I was really hyped personally by the Turtlebot 4, but Victor got a good point there about the availability of the platform.
How far are they, at least with the simulation assets. That was one thing that kind of took a long time for Turtle 3 to kind of get released as the Gazebo plugins, and then a lot of the times it was fairly slow in releasing into the next distribution. So having at least rolling binaries would help simplify a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the status of the simulation. I will look it up and ping them if I don't find anything. In the worst case scenario, we can always fall back to the TotalBot 3. There's already a lot done for this platform, thanks to the work that's been done for the workshop. All right, then. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna throw the ideas into a Google document. I'm gonna share it with the working group, and we can continue the discussion offline on this document. And I do hope that you're gonna help in shaping this document and shaping this ID so that I can start knocking on doors as soon as possible, and that we can actually start working on implementing this reference robot as well. There are a lot of details that we haven't discussed about it. Well, that's the end of the agenda. So I'll just open the floor if anyone wants to share anything. No one? 3, 2, 1. All right, then. Let's call it a meeting. That's the end of the meeting, and I'll see you all next month, and hopefully before that, on the different GitHub issues and on this Google document I'm going to open. Thank you all for attending, and once again, Happy New Year. See you all next month. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.